Have you ever found yourself, doing something, maybe the pattern in your career or with friends or even in your relationships,
Hmm.
and you just stop and think, why? Why on earth do I keep doing that?
Yes. It feels completely counterproductive, doesn't it? Like you're actively working against what you actually want. It's baffling.
Exactly, baffling. It often feels like self-sabotage almost. Illogical and frankly pretty maddening sometimes.
It really is one of the big riddles of being an adult, I think.
Yeah.
We tend to assume our character, our personality, the good bits and the flaws, is something we consciously put together, something we chose.
Right, like we picked it off a shelf.
But the research we've been looking at today, it's a mix of deep psychology and even some evolutionary biology. It suggests something.
Mm.
Well, something much more fundamental, more
Yeah.
primal, maybe.
Okay, let's try and unpack this then. So our goal for this deep dive is to explore this central idea. What we call character isn't necessarily chosen, but is fundamentally an adaptation.
hmm A really brilliant creative set of traits, actually, designed for the best chance to flourish, but, and this is the key bit, in very specific circumstances, circumstances that often are long gone.
Like our childhood homes.
Precisely. Think about the natural world for a second. Adaptation literally dictates survival there. We're not talking personality traits in animals, not really.
Hmm.
We're talking pure survival strategy.
Okay, give us an example.
Well, take the owl. Its character isn't outgoing or sociable. It's assertive, totally silent, operates strictly at night.
And that's not just random owl behavior, it's a perfect adaptive response, right? Why be so secretive?
Because the owl thrives in habitats that are crowded, lots of competition for food. So it has to operate when others are asleep, moving with maximum stealth. Its whole being is tuned for that.
Minimizing energy, maximizing opportunity in a tough environment. Makes sense.
Or consider the stick insect. Completely different character. Docile, barely moves, incredible at just disappearing into the background,
Mhm.
blending in with twigs.
Again, not because it's shy in our human sense.
Not at all. It's a highly intelligent trait, honed over ages, specifically to avoid being eaten by things like rodents and spiders. To survive, its character must be forgettable. Invisible, almost.
And then you have the total opposite end, like African wild dogs.
Yes. Their character is all about cooperation. Really collaborative, very respectful of a clear hierarchy. They understand instinctively that going it alone means failure for everyone.
That specific trait, working together, coordinating these complex chases to catch fast prey, that's their winning strategy.
Exactly. Survival is basically the ultimate and pretty ruthless editor of character in the wild.
Okay, so if we hold that idea that the environment shapes survival traits, then applying it to humans starts to feel, well, less mysterious.
Right. Beneath all the layers of, adult life and civilization, we humans aren't that different. We adapt our characters too.
But for us, the crucial habitat, the one that really shapes us initially, that's our family, the family we're born into.
And that's where the real vulnerability comes in. The learner's dilemma, you could call it. You arrive utterly defenseless, totally dependent into this unique, very specific set of circumstances.
You don't get a say in who your parents are or what the emotional weather is like in that house.
None at all. So you're forced to adjust just to survive emotionally and sometimes physically. And that adjustment, it becomes this deep psychological necessity. It's not really optional.
In a child's mind, it's incredibly attuned. It doesn't waste time, does it? It starts figuring out the rules immediately, like, how do I get love here? How do I avoid getting hurt? How do I get my needs met?
Absolutely. Cataloging the blueprint for success in that specific house. And this is where these distinct adaptive roles start to form.
Based on the powerful figures there, the parents or caregivers.
Exactly. So in some families, maybe the atmosphere is really loud, maybe unpredictable, maybe they're these very dominant, perhaps intimidating figures of authority. The child's smartest strategy might be to become the silent observer. You learn that success, or just safety, means keeping a super low profile. Never challenge anyone. Stay invisible. Become an expert in, well, non-existence almost.
Or you could have the opposite situation, an environment where attention is really scarce, maybe given out randomly, or only if you meet certain conditions.
Right. So to even get noticed, the child quickly figures out they need to be the entertainer. Survival means constantly performing, keeping everyone happy, being relentlessly cheerful.
Because if you stop the performance...
You basically cease to exist in their eyes. The attention vanishes.
Wow. Okay, and there's a third one you mentioned?
Yes, sometimes the attention is so scarce, so hard to come by through positive means, that the child works out, maybe unconsciously, that the only reliable way to get any attention, even negative attention, is to become the troublemaker.
So acting up, getting into specific kinds of trouble.
Precisely because it guarantees a response. It forces the caregivers to engage. And the fascinating thing really is that none of these roles are inherently bad or flawed. They are creative, strategic masterpieces tailored perfectly for that unique family habitat.
And thinking about it like that, it really does open up a path for compassion, doesn't it? When we see adult behavior that just seems frustrating or even maddening.
Definitely. We often look at someone, say, who lies compulsively, or someone who's just completely shut down emotionally cold, and our first reaction is judgment, like they lack morals or basic empathy.
We see it as a character flaw.
But what if we shift perspective? What if we see those traits not as moral failures, but as evidence of past brilliance?
Yeah.
As the character that was absolutely required to survive a very specific, difficult environment.
It changes how you see it.
It changes everything.
So let's explore that. Take evasiveness, lying. We see it as deceitful. But maybe for a child in a house with a really angry, punitive, intolerant parent.
Honesty wasn't safe at all. Telling the truth might have guaranteed a massive explosion or punishment. So lying wasn't just being sneaky. It was a sophisticated form of risk management. It was survival.
Okay, I see that. Or the adult who's incredibly emotionally reserved, can't relax, can't show vulnerability.
That might have been an incredibly smart, adaptive move if a caregiver was emotionally all over the place, erratic, or maybe even invasive, unboundaried.
Someone who didn't respect emotional limits.
Exactly. In that situation, showing deep feeling could be incredibly dangerous. So the child learns, quite intelligently, to just switch off, to numb out emotionally, to protect their core self.
But the cost of carrying these traits into adulthood, it must be huge. Which brings up the big problem, right?
This is the crux of it. What makes adult life so tricky for us, just like for animals in nature, is that our habitats change. They don't stand still.
So the very traits that ensured your survival when you were, say, 7 years old.
Risk becoming totally redundant. Or worse, actively causing problems the minute your environment shifts.
Like moving from home to the workplace or into a serious relationship.
Precisely. Take someone with a shouty, aggressive manner. Maybe that was honed because they had to constantly fight for space or attention with loud, competitive siblings. It made sense then.
What now?
Now you bring that character into a modern office environment or an intimate relationship, and it just malfunctions spectacularly.
Right. The thing that protected you then now pushes people away.
It's like you're still wearing armor from a past battle. It causes huge upset. You end up fighting ghosts, alienating the very people who actually care about you now.
Or think about the adult who's hypervigilant, constantly scanning, always on edge.
Yes, that state of permanent alert, where your nervous system is just wired for threat. Those lightning-fast responses to anything that seems off.
That made total sense if the childhood habitat had unpredictable danger, like abuse. It was necessary for safety then.
Absolutely necessary.
Nate?
But now that same hypervigilance destroys any chance of the calm, settled adult life you deeply crave.
You're seeing threats where there aren't any, anticipating betrayal from a loving partner, maybe.
Or assuming the worst at work. Your system is still waiting for the other shoe to drop, even though the danger has passed. The mechanism that saved the child is now sabotaging the adult's peace.
It's a kind of tragedy, really.
It is. And you see this reflected in the natural world, too, this melancholy of adaptation failure. Traits that were once perfect become liabilities when the world changes. It really underscores the risk we face.
I'm thinking of those classic examples, like the light-speckled moth. Before the Industrial Revolution, being light-colored was brilliant camouflage on trees.
Perfect character for that habitat.
Yeah.
But then the factories came, the soot blackened the trees.
And suddenly that same lightness made them incredibly visible to predators. Their perfect adaptation became a death sentence. The world changed around them.
Exactly. Or think about the German Shepherd dog breed, originally bred for guarding flocks, right? So traits like being wary, maybe quick to bite anything, unfamiliar approaching the sheep, that was brilliant for that job.
But then try putting that same dog with that same ingrained character into a busy city park full of kids.
The context changes completely. And those once valuable traits become dangerous, leading to problems, ostracism. The survival character in the wrong place betrays the animal.
And that's the risk for us too, isn't it? We might be walking around completely unaware, behaving in ways that only ever truly helped us in that one specific house long ago.
Operating on autopilot with defense mechanisms we don't even need anymore.
So we really need to challenge ourselves, maybe take an inventory of these old traits we're still carrying, these legacies that might be messing up our adult
We're
lives.
talking about things like, well, being closed off.
Yeah.
That inability to tell a partner how you really feel, because deep down you believe vulnerability is just weakness, maybe even fatal.
Or habitual deceitfulness. Not necessarily malicious lying, but just the ingrained habit of hiding things because transparency felt dangerous once.
hmm Or that kind of manic, forced cheerfulness some people have, where they have to be constantly up because stillness feels terrifying, like it invites disaster. It's masking deep fear.
And just that baseline, round-the-clock fear or anxiety that can permeate everything, even when things are objectively okay.
And the really painful part, often, is that the original source of the pressure is gone.
Right. The angry father, the manipulative mother, those jealous siblings, the overly strict caregiver, they aren't physically here in our adult lives anymore.
But the traits we develop to cope with them, they persist, they hang around.
It's like you're still lugging this incredibly heavy shield around.
Yes.
But the battle ended years ago, and now the shield is just cumbersome and keeps knocking things over, preventing you from actually connecting with people or enjoying the peace you finally found.
You're finally safe enough to put it down, but you don't know how, or you don't even realize you're still carrying it.
So the really liberating idea here, the big insight maybe, is that we don't have to just accept these traits as who we are, as fixed, unchangeable flaws.
Absolutely not. It might be time for many of us to consciously decide to say farewell to parts of our character that were only ever really clever, creative, necessary strategies for surviving a very specific world.
A world that doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly. Because if our character is, in large part, a psychological echo of an old survival strategy, just recognizing its origin point is the first massive step towards freedom.
How so?
Well, it frees us from that cycle of self-blame, doesn't it? From thinking, oh, I'm just a bad person, or I'm inherently flawed. No, it wasn't a moral failing. It was brilliance under constraint.
It was intelligence adapting to a tough situation.
Precisely. And the crucial task now is to sort of update the software, to develop strategies that work for the life we have today, not the one we left behind.
So as you're listening and reflecting on this deep dive today, maybe consider this final thought we want to leave you with.
Think about this. What specific trait might you be carrying today? Maybe you see it in your job or in your friendships, maybe in your closest relationships. That was actually a brilliant strategy for survival in a house you left decades ago.
But is now, maybe, the very thing that's actively holding you back from the peace, the connection, the flourishing you really deserve?